Welcome to the 2023 UIW's Basketball Media Days. I'm Sam Kamen, and I will be your host this afternoon. Today on the schedule, we have both of our head coaches for the basketball teams, our women's head coach, Jeff Dow, as well as our men's coach, Shane Hireman, as well as two student athletes from each team. So let's get things kicked off with our women's side, our head coach, Jeff Dow, Nina De Leon Negron, and senior guard, Myra Bell. And Coach Dow, I'll give the floor to you to make an opening statement.
Well, we're excited about this upcoming season. Obviously, I think we kind of maybe overachieved in a lot of people's eyes last year, being picked to finish seventh and finishing fourth with quite a few new players on the roster, several freshmen. Nina De Leon, to my right, is an incoming transfer. So, ended up finishing fourth. And to have essentially everybody back is a good feeling. In this day, in 34 years, I'm not sure I've ever had a roster, whether I was a head coach or an assistant coach, with 12 returning players, 6 seniors, especially in this day and age with the transfer portal. That's definitely unique. So it's exciting. I think we're definitely further ahead at this point than certainly what we were a year ago. And it's helpful, obviously, especially with the newcomers like Nina and all the freshmen that I mentioned that are now sophomores, to kind of have a better feel for what they can do, both offensively and defensively. So that, some of the sets that we run and some of the different things that we do, we kind of know that, what their skill set's going to bring to the table.
Well, we'll start right there with your returners, 12 of them. You bring back over 70% of your production from last season. Would you say this is the most experienced and veteran team you have? And why is that production and veteran leadership so important to a Southland Conference that is also returning a lot of their best players, whether it be Northwestern State, Commerce, and those big top teams?
Yeah, it might be our most experienced team in terms of players that have been in our system. Our first year here, back in 2019-20, and I think we had 6 or 7 seniors on that team, but they were all new, to us, and we were new to them. And that was a team that was picked 13th and finished 6th, so that was a memorable year in its own right. But yes, to have a lot of experienced players, I think it helps to have the the returners know, what the conference is all about. The teams that we've got to be competitive with if we want to finish, in the top half or better, in the standings. So, and again, like I said, just to be further along and the verbiage and the sets and the defense and everything, I think is going to be helpful. And I think a lot, even for, the freshmen that are now sophomores, they've played in some big games. They've been in big moments. I can remember vividly last year, when we beat UTSA, looking out on the court at one point, we had 4 freshmen. I think it was 4 freshmen and Nina were on the court at one point. So 5 newcomers, So again, like I said, just to have that experience that they went through that. Obviously, they were all there for the 6-game winning streak at the end of the regular season. And like I said, hopefully build off some confidence from that.
And you talk about that 6-game winning streak. How big was that? Obviously, you've been off for almost 6, 7, 8 months, but how big was that winning streak to possibly kind of kickstart and carry some momentum with a lot of those returners starting this season?
It helps. I mean, at the same time, last year is last year, and I, periodically may remind the team that, just because we have everybody back doesn't make us better. It just means we have everybody back. So we still have to be hungry and motivated. But as I said, for some of the younger players, for example, Georgia Elliott, who's now a sophomore, started, all 6 of those games. She came up big. For her to be able to experience those moments and hit big shots, or Puff, Aaliyah Collins, freshman guard, now sophomore, big free throws and had big games. And I think, so like I said, that should really lift their confidence going into this year. They know they can play, at this level. They know that they can have success at this level. So again, it should, give us some confidence. Like I said, hopefully a little bit of an edge. We obviously want to make a deeper run. We have Myra Bell to my left, of course, who was on the team 2 years ago when we went to the NCAA tournament and won the conference championship. So I think the team is definitely hungry, especially with 5 of those 6 seniors that were on that team. They definitely want to go out on a high note.
And I'll pass it over to Myra. This is your 4th year at UIW. You played your high school ball here in San Antonio at Taft. How fun has it been to play your college ball in your hometown?
It's been extremely fun. Like, I really enjoy San Antonio, and it's also an upside that I get to have my family at every game. So just being able to stay at home where I've enjoyed, my entire life, it's a blessing.
Mm-hmm. He mentioned you were part of that Southland Conference championship team. When you look at this team in particular, what similarities do they have in characteristics towards possibly being another championship caliber team?
I just think we still have that drive. We still have that want to get back to that game and win another championship. Like, it's never swayed either way. I think we've always had that drive to just want to be back in that spot.
Mm-hmm. Now, Nina, for you, this is your 2nd year at UIW, transferring from Austin Peay. What was kind of the decision-making process that kind of sold you in coming to Incarnate Word, and how have you been enjoying your stay here so far?
Well, whenever I got here, it just felt like a family environment. I enjoy being here. I enjoy Coach Dow. I enjoy the coaching staff. The girls, we have fun here. Even last year, it was really fun. Just getting to practice every day, getting to play with them. I enjoyed losing. Well, not too much losing, but even learn from losing, and at the same time winning. As Coach Dow mentioned, the 6-game winning streak, that was definitely fun. So I've definitely enjoyed this a lot.
And you had an incredible year, just in the Southland, 2nd team, all Southland team, all defensive team, as well as newcomer of the year. But you also got to play for your home country in Puerto Rico this summer. What was that experience like, and how much did you learn and have been trying to implement the things you learned into your game this year?
Definitely learned a lot. I play with other girls that are in big schools in the United States, so just learning from them, just kind of their leadership and stuff like that. I bring that to the court every day. I try bringing my leadership and make the girls act have a culture and act the same every day, just wanting to win. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Coach Dow, I'll ask you this question: how'd you get Nina De Leon to come to UIW? Because she was a big reason, and y'all's success was really driving the force with assists, steals, points. And how big of an impact did she have, not only last year, but hopefully this year as well?
Huge impact. We got her with quality Puerto Rican restaurants nearby, so that definitely helped. But with her and her dad, Angel. But no, she, obviously when you're dipping into the transfer portal, you're trying to watch as much film as you can. Ironically enough, her sophomore year with a new head coach, they ran the Princeton system, so very similar to what we do offensively. So she actually had more of a familiarity, with what we run, of course, than any of the incoming freshmen. So that was easy for her to make that transition. Knew, some of the coaches and administrators at Austin Peay. Everything came out positive, with Nina. So it was just a great fit. We needed, an impact player to come in at that point guard position. As I said earlier, I'm not sure I totally knew what we had, until about mid-December, when Nina single-handedly outscored UTSA in the 4th quarter, 17-13, and leading us from behind to get that win, for the 2nd time in 3 years. And then obviously from there, I got a little bit smarter and started running more set plays, for her to get the ball in her hands and getting downhill and what have you. But and again, her leadership is huge. Daily, she's competitive. She picks everybody up. Finds a way to do it in a positive way as well. And certainly when you're guards, and I would say the same about Myra as well. They're kind of the forefront of your defense, and if they're really getting after it and playing hard, it's contagious, for everybody else. And for us, Last year, we actually broke the school record that we set the year before for fewest points allowed. I still think we can be better. These two will let you know that I think we can be better on the defensive end and have play a little bit more of an edge, maybe force more turnovers. But they're both very instrumental in terms of how we play, whether we're man, zone, pressing. So just really excited to see what they're going to be able to do this season.
And you talk about Myra Bell. What have you seen through her 4 years here that have just continued each and every year she's been able to elevate her game and grow?
Just, I think confidence as much as anything. You know, her freshman year, just the nature of that roster, I alluded to earlier, we had all those seniors in 2019-20, so her freshman year was 2021. I think we had 4 seniors that year that averaged over 20 minutes a game. Myra was one of them. You know, we had and that was also the famous COVID year. We played 15 games, and so, you know, we had 11 games canceled, over 50 practices canceled. So their sophomore year was almost like their freshman year in effect. But seeing her confidence rise, especially on the offensive end, you know, having a great feel for what we're trying to do offensively, you know, what she brings to the table, you know, and I remember, you know, she might not remember this, but, you know, last year at one point, it never seemed to be a coincidence. If Myra Bell had a good game, we usually won. And no pressure, Myra. But so if as long as she had a well-rounded, you know, double-figure points, 5 or 6 rebounds, 2 or 3 steals, couple of assists, kind of filling up the stat sheet, that was usually a good sign for us.
Now looking at this year and particularly what y'all been able to do during the off season, how has the team continued to grow, and who are some of those 3 new faces to the roster that could have an impact this year?
I think, you know, obviously, you know, everybody's trying to carve out their role. You know, we don't make too much of a production of who starts and who doesn't start and all that, but certainly a lot of competition. I think we have more depth than what we had last year. Again, with the experience, we had 4 freshmen last year average double-figure minutes. Aaliyah Collins and Georgia Elliott were over 20 minutes as freshmen. Plus, you know, now we have Sofia Griego, who redshirted last year as a freshman, but was obviously here, brings another 3-point shooter, you know, to the program. Last year we led the league in 3-point field goal makes, you know, per game, set a school record in 3-point field goal percentage. So we're definitely going to lean into that, you know, even more. You know, these two are probably happy to hear that, although Nina's trying to get the green light to shoot anytime she wants, but we're not quite there yet. But so, you know, in terms of the incoming freshmen, unfortunately, we won't have Destiny Whitaker available this year because of an injury, but Ramey McCrary and Mallory McQuieter are both coming on, you know, giving us more depth in the post as well. So it's exciting. You know, it's a good problem to have. That I don't know that, you know, realistically, we're probably not going to have 11 or 12 players get double-figure minutes, you know, but, you know, a case could be made, you know, if everybody's healthy, that potentially could happen. So, but it's great to have that kind of depth and different options. Obviously, you know, we can do some things with, you know, move Nina over to the 2 and play Aaliyah at the point, as an example. Or if somebody gets in foul trouble, that we know we've got reliable options coming off the bench.
Myra, for you, during this off season, obviously you'll have a lot of returners, but when you add 3 new players to the roster, how have they been gelling with the team? And for a team that has so much kind of chemistry already, how have y'all been able to get even tighter?
It wasn't hard. Like our freshmen, they definitely they gelled easily. It was never like a work in progress of us trying to, you know, get them to have more chemistry with the team that was already here. It was really easy. They're super nice. They're friendly. They're great players, and, you know, just having them here is great.
Mm-hmm. Nina, for you, being one of the leaders on this team with Myra, how have you grown in a leadership role being a senior, even though it is your second year here at UIW?
I mean, it's easy when you have, like, teammates that want to be better every day and want to win. Like, it's not a problem. Like, it was never, like, my mindset, like, I need to, like, help them. Like, for them, like, every time they get in the court, they want to compete. We be having these little competitions, 3 ways, as Coach Dow calls them, and everyone just wants to win. So it's like, I don't have to be like, hey, like, let's have that winning mindset, or you need to do this. Like, everyone's, like, wants to compete and stuff, so it wasn't hard at all.
Mm-hmm. And one thing that he does preach is the defensive mentality. It's crazy because y'all been averaging only giving up less than 60 the last 2 years, and it continues to go down. How much work do y'all put in on the defensive end every single day, and how much pride do y'all take trying to not just win a game by outscoring the opponent, but by making sure they don't see anything through the hoop at all?
Oh, wow. Definitely a lot. It's like our emphasis, we're always like making sure we play good defense. Like sometimes in practice, sometimes we can make a really good play offensively, and Coach Dow is going to be like, the defense. What happened with the defense? Like, you scored, but Myra, why weren't you playing defense on her? Like, as an example, Myra, it doesn't really happen. But yeah, definitely defense is the most important thing.
For you, Coach, this is year number 5 here at UIW, but since you've gotten here, you've been in the top half of the Southland. The COVID season, you felt like you were peaking at the right time. You win just 2 years ago. What has been kind of the key to success in making UIW one of those top teams in the Southland that's going to compete for possibly a NCAA bid every single year?
Well, we'd like to think that we've developed, our players pretty well. And obviously Myra to my left and all of her senior teammates, and there's, 4 other seniors that came in the same time as Myra. And just in terms of seeing their ascent, every year is exciting. Obviously basketball-wise, but also academically. All 6 seniors are set to graduate in May in 4 years, and that's good stuff as well. And when we inherited the program, just calling it like it is, they were back-to-back 5 and 24 seasons, and I can remember addressing the team in a middle of July meeting that first summer in 2019, saying I know how coaches think, and at that point in time there was 13 teams in the Southland Conference, and I said we're going to be picked to finish 13th, a distant 13th, and they were kind of like taken aback, and we were picked to finish a distant 13th, and we ended up 6th. We beat a number of teams that were in first place at the time. Unfortunately, COVID canceled, which was the first ever appearance, for UIW women's basketball in the Southland tournament. We were about 2 hours away from tip-off. And then, fast forwarding to the next year when Myra and company were freshmen, and again, a lot was placed on them, and they had to step up in big roles and just get to the conference tournament. I can remember, sharing with them in the locker room, we got beat by Abilene Christian in what would be the first ever game for UIW women's basketball. And so a lot of coaches wouldn't think 6 and 9 was a heck of a season, but it really was, with so many freshmen and stops and starts with all the quarantining and what have you. Then, to go to the next year, Myra's sophomore year, obviously to win the Southland Conference Championship, play in the NCAA tournament, win 4 games in 4 days, again, just to see the progress that we made. And then, now to last season, setting a school record for wins, winning streak, highest, finish in the conference. So I think we've built the program the right way. Like I said, great graduation rate, 100%. Everybody that's played their senior year, quality GPA, community service, all that. And again, I'm just, like I said, excited at what we build. And I think we've made this program relevant. UIW women's basketball was completely irrelevant, was at the bottom of the conference, and now I feel like even some of the teams that may have finished ahead of us in the regular season, they know we're a tough out. That you might have beat us, but it probably went down to the last couple minutes in most cases. So again, just kind of excited to see. This might be it for us. With the seniors and the staff and everything, this might be it for us. So we want to see, what we can do and go out with a bang, hopefully this year.
Final question for you: what can Cardinal fans expect from your ball team when they come out to the McDermott Center?
I think we're going to play hard. We're going to play hard. We're going to play together. Those are things we obviously emphasize all the time. Especially, like I said, on the defensive end, it's clear you're going to see the effort. For sure. We kind of gave them a number a week or two ago that, boy, if we could hold opponents under 62 or less, we're undefeated. We're not typically a team that gets in a shootout, if you will, although the other day we did have a scrimmage against a program that won their conference championship last year. won 20-plus games, and we actually outscored them 76-65. So now I'm trying to, convince everybody we still got to defend. That's not always going to be the norm. But, and like I said, I think we're going to lean into shooting more threes this year. That certainly fits some of our personnel. That's what they do, and they're really good at it. So it'd be foolish for us not to try to capitalize on that. Like to play a little faster. Some of that's our guards. We got to try to push the pace as much as we can. But it's a fun team to watch. They might not always think I feel this way, but it's a fun team to coach and be around every day as well.
Well, Coach, Myra, Nina, thank you very much for your time. We'll let y'all go off to practice, do some more defensive slides, and get ready for OLLU on November 7th.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you. We'll take a quick break and get the men ready for this UIW Basketball Media Day. Welcome back to UIW Basketball Media Days. It's the men's turn as we invite head coach Shane Hireman, junior guard Sky Wicks, and senior guard Josh Morgan to the podium. All right, Coach, we'll start it off with an easy first layup question. How has fall camp been, and how excited are you for your first season here at UIW?
Yeah, it's been awesome. Getting to know these guys and our staff, building relationships with the players building relationships with each other. It's been a pretty unique opportunity, and it's been pretty fulfilling watching it all come together. They've worked tremendously hard and sacrificed a great deal and committed a lot to themselves and each other to have the makings of a special season.
As a first-year head coach, especially at the D1 level, there's a lot of things that a lot of people don't see, whether it's bringing in your staff, bringing in new talent. So there's a lot of moving parts going into your first game. What was your first priority when you got onto campus I guess 7-8 months ago?
Yeah, so for us, relationships is everything, and so it was imperative to build relationships with our players, and that was the focus coming in initially into summer and camp and getting to spend time with guys and really starting to build a trust and camaraderie. But then from there, it becomes, about 10% of my time is coaching this team. 90% of it is external to what our job title says. And so it's about cultivating relationships in the community. It's about trying to raise the profile of the program in a variety of areas. So, whether that be fundraising, community engagement. We've been pretty active of trying to raise the brand and the exposure of something that we think is really neat and cool here at UIW.
Mm-hmm. For you, Josh, this is your 4th year at UIW, and obviously coaching transitions are sometimes hard, but I guess I want to get your input on what was this coaching transition like, and how big has your relationship been with Coach Hireman?
I think the transition, it was tough at first, not knowing what was going to happen, but as the new coaching staff came in, especially Coach Hireman, they made it important that relationships are going to take us where we want to go. So I think that was probably the most important part, just the relationship aspect of it.
What differences have you seen already being cultivated within the program that were different from the previous head coach?
Just the overall culture, just the energy. As soon as you step in the building, you feel it. Other than that, just the culture. That's what I can speak on right now.
Mm-hmm. For you, Sky, obviously you're new to UIW in San Antonio. What has this transition been like for you at a new school and a new program?
It's been very easy. I think we get to work every day, and I got a lot of trust in the coaches. So, we have a lot of fun just working out, trying to get better every day. So it's been pretty smooth for me.
What kind of sold you on UIW as well as Coach Hireman when making your decision coming out of junior college?
The minute Coach told me that he got the head coaching job over here, I decided to come over here. I have a lot of trust in Coach, so it was a pretty easy decision for me.
And Coach, for you, obviously you've got a lot of experience, and some of your peers, including the Michigan State head coach Tom Izzo, has raved about you. What about your prior experiences have kind of really prepared you for this opportunity?
Well, I've been really fortunate. I started in my college experience with Doug Wojcik, and some of the assistant coaches that were on staff had all become head coaches. My first job from a basketball coaching perspective was a gentleman named Alan Huss, who became the head coach at High Point University this year, transitioning to DePaul with Dave Lato, who's ACC Coach of the Year, national champion, Tony Barbee, who's had a tremendous amount of success. So I've just been really fortunate to be around some incredible minds and have been smart enough to be a sponge and pay attention. So, I'm going to lean on a lot of their experiences and a lot of what they taught me. Coach Lato has even come down a couple times to spend some time with us, to give us feedback, to give us notes. So it's awesome to be able to draw on those friendships and relationships. But then I was a head coach too prior to this, and albeit it was at a high school, but it was a really high level, and we had some really talented players that we had to create this connectivity with, and we were really successful doing it and had a lot of success. And so some of those things will be replicated, and then some of those things we're constantly trying to steal and be better ourselves and learn and grow. So I'm excited for this opportunity.
And you get to learn and grow because of kind of the staff you have assembled. Obviously, Coach Jackson's going to get a lot of recognition around San Antonio, being a former Spur and NBA champion. But as the collective staff as a whole, how did you go about assembling and getting commitments, so to speak, from each of those head coaches when trying to build assistant coaches, director of ops, all those integral parts of the program?
Sure. For me, it's probably a redundant word at this point, but relationships. It's kind of the forefront of our entire program. So these are all individuals that I've had prior relationships with and have been built over time, and there was a genuine sense of trust. And then, there's certain aspects of our program. There's three things that we say are non-negotiable, which is energy, enthusiasm, and competitiveness. And so our staff first has to embody that in order for it to translate to our players. So finding those individuals that just is coming through their pores. And so it's always a task to find the right people to start helping mentor young people. But I feel like we did a really great job solidifying some people to help grow our players both off the court and on the court.
Coach Hireman, welcome to San Antonio.
Thanks.
I wasn't able to make it to your press conference when you first got here, so welcome. Just how are you enjoying the city so far, and what are some restaurants that you found that are so underrated?
Wow. The city. I have been blown away by San Antonio, and for a variety of reasons, but more than anything, the people. You get a real strong sense of community here. People have each other's back. They care about each other. There's a pretty cool common respect that oozes through the community, and so I feel very privileged to have my family here and be a part of it. Part of recruiting is we have to wine and dine a little bit, and so we've got to experience a lot of restaurants so far, fortunately, and the food is fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Some of our favorites, if Coach Jackson was here and I did not mention the Hayden, he would be very upset with me. So the Hayden, which is across the street, I'm particular to Alamo Heights, so Cappy's and the Hayden are probably going to top the charts so far.
All right. Obviously, your biggest game on the schedule this year is Texas. Just what challenges do they present, and under first-year head coach Rodney Terry?
Well, they're incredibly talented, right? And they have a really strong brand of basketball that they're able to recruit to, and they have a ton of resources. And Coach Terry has a long history of success, and so they're going to be really well prepared. They're going to be really well coached, and they have a lot of talent. So for us, it goes back to this magical word, but our connectivity through relationships has got to be how we separate ourselves. It's an incredible task to go against that level of a program that has been solidified over a long period of time. So for us, as a first-year program under a different staff and new players, new faces, with the first game of the year, for us to be able to compete, it's got to be through our connectivity. We have to be on the same page. We have to be on a string. And if we're able to really have each other's backs and believe in it and make up for each other, communicate with each other, I like our chances.
One of your new players this year is Breno Silva from Brazil. So just what have you seen from him since he's gotten here, and how can he help this team, possibly get a national championship this year?
Yeah, so he embodies some of those words that I talked about earlier, from energy, enthusiasm, and competitiveness. He probably has a few of them in abundance, maybe to a fault sometimes. But he has a real desire to get better and compete every single day. He probably lets them know by chattering up it a little bit every single day too. But he's really competitive, he's really fiery, and then he's really skilled. He can really make shots at a high level. So at his size, 6'8", to be able to stretch defenses and create mismatches or decisions on the defensive end for opposing teams is a really good weapon for us. And so to be able to have his feistiness, his intelligence, his IQ on the floor, his feel, helps us become a better team for sure.
And going back to the Texas game, obviously it's in Austin. Just talk about the atmosphere, and what do you tell the team just not to get too ahead, and just play their brand of basketball, because it's obviously going to be loud, sold out. So just how do you tell them to stay composed? What's the message?
Yeah, so for us, it's not so much us versus Texas as it is us versus ourselves. And so we're in a constant daily battle against maximizing our own potential. And so in a unique way, that's still the mission. Even though there's a team across the floor from us that says Texas on a jersey, we're still trying to become the best version that this team can possibly become. And that's a journey. It's not something that we have to have right on opening night. It's a process, and it's a season-long journey. So for us, if we can continue to make up ground, if we can continue to get better, and we look at it more of a holistic approach than just a singular focus on Texas, I think it relieves some of that pressure of going into Moody, and it puts the onus and pressure back on yourself and maximizing who you are and how we continue to get better every single day.
You have some experience with the Westchester Knicks, and obviously Coach Jackson too. Just as a first-year head coach, how does that experience help you and coach at the college level? And what can you tell the team, like, how to get to that level, if that makes sense?
Yeah, so Coach Jackson's the one that has the
Oh.
Westchester experience, but I've been fortunate enough. I've coached 13 players that have gone on to play in the NBA, and several guys have maxed out contracts. We've done over $500 million in NBA contracts. And so the benefit to that is I know what it looks like. I know what it takes. I know the commitment. I know the sacrifice. I know what those guys were willing to give up in order to be great at their craft. And it's not this unattainable thing. It's an incredible pursuit. It's an incredible relentlessness that you have to have, a fire that you have to have to be committed to it the way they were. But when I can speak to it and I can turn on the TV and I can show guys clips, and some of them have come down into town, it makes it more real for these guys to make that dream closer to a reality and understand that the potential is there if you're willing to commit to it like they were.
Josh, for you, being a returner on a team that only returns 4, what has the chemistry of this team been like with so many new faces coming into the program? Obviously, new coaching staff, new players, but how is the team, not just the players, but coaching staff as well with the players coming together?
Overall, I think it's great, the chemistry so far. We gel on and off the court. We hang out a lot. We do things that a lot of normal teams wouldn't do. And Coach has brought a lot of familiar faces in to talk to us so we can build our connectivity. So overall, I think right now, being like 2 months into school is going really good.
And for you, being your 4th year here, you and being a senior, you've got that veteran leadership, not only playing 4 years of college ball, but also kind of helping others of what to expect at the D1 and Southland Conference level. How have you grown? How have you seen yourself grow as a leader this year?
As a leader, just being more vocal, whether it's telling young guys what to do and how to handle stuff, and then being able to go back and forth with coaches if I don't agree with something, or if another guy doesn't agree with something, just kind of getting them in that like right mindset of how it's going to be in a game or how it should be in practice. So just vocally, just kind of being more of a leader is probably the most important part.
Sky, for you, you started your career at Missouri State, then went to a JUCO after playing a few games in those 2 years at Missouri State, now back at the Division I level. What did you learn in your breakout year at the junior college level to get this opportunity of being back at the D1 level?
Really, it was just through playing games and practicing and just getting more game reps, just helped me learn a lot, watching film on stuff like that, and just constantly trying to improve. That's all, really.
How have you kind of seen this team gel as you being one of the newer guys on the roster? Obviously, we've heard Coach Hireman's put a heavy emphasis on relationships, but on or off the floor, what have y'all been doing to create that chemistry?
I mean, we do a lot of activities outside of basketball, whether it's like going to get food, going to the Six Flags or whatever, just even hanging out, watching film. And I think the coaches put a lot of emphasis making sure that we do that stuff. And I mean, just as a group, we all get along, and it's pretty easy to hang out with each other, and it makes it easier for us to communicate on the court when we're that close. So, yeah.
And for you, Coach Hireman, obviously you bring in a lot of new faces, new talent. Who are those new players in Cardinal uniforms that people in San Antonio as well as UIW fans should get used to recognizing?
Sure, yeah. Sean Robinson's a name. He was initially a top 35 recruit out of high school. Went to Ole Miss. He's kind of had some stops along the way. He came to us from Austin Peay, where I think he was 12.7 rebounds, something to that effect. But he's incredibly talented. He's about 6'10". He's got a really long wingspan, shoots the basketball, skilled. So his size and athleticism will be different than most of the league. And so his ability to impose his will, his size, is going to be a big deal. We have a transfer from UTSA, actually, Lamine Sabali, whose sister plays for the Wings and was actually just first-team WNBA. So he comes from a really good gene pool of basketball players. But he's poised to have a breakout season. He never really got over the hump at UTSA based on his potential and his abilities, and he's really committed himself this year. He's battling injury right now, but he's really committed himself to the weight room, to the gym, to the film room, to be a guy that could break out in regards to kind of his potential. There's a common name that people will be familiar with in Texas, which is T.J. Ford Jr. Another guy battling injury, unfortunately, right now, but his charisma, his talent is what you need at that point guard position. And so he's got a way of galvanizing a group of people and getting them to come together. And so he is definitely a guy to be watching. And obviously Skylar's incredibly talented, probably our most talented player on our roster. And so it's been neat to see him buy into some of the other concepts that we have really been trying to instill. And he's getting a lot better doing it, albeit sometimes tough, but he's doing it, and we're proud of him. And I also want to interject something on Josh, going back to leadership, because it's never an easy thing to stay when change happens. And so for him to put that faith and trust in us and to watch his growth not only as a player but as a person, and to be arguably our most reliable person in our program, he's just, I always tell our guys, he's always where he needs to be and on time. And I'm not talking just about class or study hall or community events. I'm talking about defensively, offensively, and he's done an incredible job of bringing guys with him and trying to meet guys where they are. But I'm really proud of his growth and development so far.
And coaching is part of finding talent and developing, or finding leadership and continuing to develop at the college level, and even further up. You've been able to be a part of a lot of people's success in reaching D1s from the high school level when you were there, or the NBA level. What about it what's the key to success for you in discovering talent, as well as not just being able to find it but develop it at the same time?
Yeah, I think when we're going through the process of evaluating, we always are trying to find people that have this insatiable work ethic. I think when you find people that love to work and they love to get better, they have an appetite to learn, they have an appetite to grow, they want to be coached, they don't avoid coaching. When you find those special characteristics, and it's pretty rare and it's hard to find, but when you see it, you know it. So I think starting with this insatiable desire to get better, and then from there you move to character. Are they people that you can count on? Are they going to be doing the right things? Are they going to be living right? How do they treat their peers? How do they treat their classmates? How do they treat their professors? You know, we want people in this community to be really proud of our guys. We want them to be great ambassadors for this university. And I think it all goes hand in hand with reaching your highest level of potential, because in order if in the NBA, for example, they're not just handing out $100 million contracts to bad people. They are going to research to the nth degree, and they want to know who you are and what you're about. And so if we can find those people and help form young people into what is desirable from the highest levels of basketball to the workforce to what is, desirable from a community standpoint, then we're doing something really right.
Josh, for you, this is a team that is kind of flying under the radar when it came to preseason polls. What, if any, type of extra motivation or created a chip on your shoulder do you have in trying to not just get UIW back to the Southland tournament, but try to have a special year and end on a good note?
For me, I was just telling Sky this, I don't think there's another team in this conference that works as hard as us. I may be wrong, but I don't think there is. Just being that, we just got to keep our heads down and keep working, and then just let that show instead of us worrying about this preseason poll or that preseason poll. I just think we just got to keep focused and chopping away at what we need to do on the court and off the court to to get more wins.
Sky, for you, last question is, what are fans going to see come y'all's first game or exhibition versus TLU on November 2nd?
I think they're going to see that we play extremely hard and that we just lock in on the little things and we put a lot of attention on the small things in practice, and we're just going to make sure we carry that over into the game. And, I mean, we're going to compete and just be a real nasty dog team.
And I'll pose the same question to you, Coach Harmon, to finish us off. When people come to the McDermott Center or watch y'all on ESPN Plus, what type of ball team are they going to see?
Yeah, I think the hope is that when people walk into our gym, the first thing they do is hear it. They hear our guys, and so that goes back to that energy and enthusiasm. You know, we get to do this. We don't have to. This is something that is awesome, and so I hope that when people walk in, they hear us first. But then I hope they see our connectivity. I hope they see the way we huddle. I hope the way they see how we connect with each other, talk to each other, the way we are on the bench, our engagement level. And then from there, you hope that it translates into details, toughness, maximizing what we can do. And so we spend a lot of time on things that we deem toughness qualities. And so from a competitive standpoint, I think our team will execute on those. And then, you know, going back to an earlier question, though, the preseason polls of us being ranked 10th in the league, it goes back to earlier about the question about Texas. It's less pressure on us to have to compete or put a chip on our shoulder for that, because we're trying to maximize ourselves every single day. This is not about, hey, we're upset at McNeese State for ranking us 10th. Now, all that being said, like Josh and Sky, I mean, we wake up every morning in 10th place right now. So there's an added motivation and inspiration that I don't think we needed, but I'm glad we have it. But I think people are gonna be really excited at our brand of basketball.
Well, Coach, Josh, Sky, thank you very much for your time, and good luck to y'all this season.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That'll wrap up things for the 2023 UIW Media Day. Thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you at the McDermott Center starting November 2nd as the men's team will pack the nest versus TLU.